I wasn't supposed to buy this house. It sat at the very end of a cul-de-sac, tucked between two homes that had seen better decades. Overgrown ivy smothered the front porch, and a dying maple tree leaned ominously over a cracked driveway. It was the kind of house you drive past without ever really seeing. But I saw it, not because I wanted to, more because I had no other choice. My life had fallen apart over the past year. Divorce, job loss, my father's sudden death. The kind of back-to-back hits that leave you hollow inside. When I saw the listing, something about it felt right. Or maybe it just matched how I felt. Worn out, overlooked, forgotten. The listing said, charming vintage home, built in 1906. Needs TLC. Motivated seller. It was cheap, suspiciously cheap. But I didn't ask too many questions. I signed the paperwork, packed what was left of my life into my Jeep, and drove 3 hours out of the city. The place smelled like dust, wet leaves, and something faintly metallic. I chalked it up to the plumbing and kept the windows open for a week. The house creaked a lot. Floorboards groaned under their own weight. Pipes hissed like they were annoyed with me, and the wind always found a way to sneak through the attic vent. I actually liked that. The house felt alive. I started fixing things up slowly. I wasn't planning to flip it or rent it out. I just needed a place to disappear for a while. I ripped up old carpet, replaced a few light fixtures, and turned the smallest bedroom into a home office. On the weekends, I explored the neighborhood, tried to get used to quiet after years of traffic noise and city chaos. Then one night, something changed. It was around 2 a.m. I'd been editing a freelance video project, half asleep at my desk, when I heard it. 3 knocks. Sharp, measured, deliberate, asterisk, asterisk. Not from outside, not the front door, from inside the wall. At first I froze, the way you do when something breaks the rhythm of normal life. I paused the video timeline and waited. Nothing. I laughed it off and went to bed, telling myself it was probably the heater or an old pipe knocking loose. The next night, it happened again. Same time, same exact sound. This time, I stood up and walked around. I checked every window, opened the front door, even peeked into the basement. Nothing, but something about the sound bothered me. It wasn't random. It wasn't like the usual old house creaks. It was intentional. 3 knocks, as if someone wanted to be heard. On the third night, I stood in the hallway in complete darkness, just waiting. I had my phone light on, camera app open, recording, I don't know why. I guess I wanted proof that I wasn't going crazy. I leaned against the wall by the staircase, where the sound always seemed to come from, and just listened. Then I heard it again, not knocks this time. A shuffling, like something or someone shifting on the other side of the wall. And beneath that, something even stranger. It almost sounded like whispering. Not clear words, more like breath brushing across wood. My chest tightened, but I couldn't move. I didn't feel fear exactly. It was more like a hum in my bones. Something primal. Something old. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done since moving in. I opened the blueprint file the seller had emailed me. The official city documents dated the house back to 1906. But what caught my eye wasn't the age, it was the floor plan. The blueprint showed a narrow storage closet under the stairs. Except that closet didn't exist in real life. I stood in the hallway for a full 5 minutes, staring at the space where it should have been. The wall was solid. No door, no hinge marks, not even a faint seam. Just smooth, painted over drywall that looked no newer than the rest of the house. That's when it hit me. Someone sealed it. I didn't sleep the night. I found the blueprint discrepancy. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the knocks in my mind, the whisper, the floor plan. My body was still. My brain was racing. I kept asking myself, why would someone seal up a storage closet and do it so cleanly that it disappeared from sight? By 6 a.m., I was back in the hallway with my crowbar. I ran my fingers along the wall under the stairs. It felt too smooth, too uniform. No seams, no nails showing. I tapped it with my knuckles and heard a difference immediately. Part of the wall sounded dense and solid, but just left the center? Hollow. I exhaled. My breath fogged the cold morning air. I wasn't just imagining things. The first crack of drywall gave way like paper. Whoever sealed it didn't reinforce it. They just covered the original entry and painted over it. Lazy job for someone hiding a whole room. I pulled back another piece. Dust exploded into the air like a cloud of history, untouched for decades. The smell hit me instantly. Old wood, rot, and something faintly sweet and metallic. Then I found it. A door frame. No doorknob. No keyhole. Just an outline. A rectangle carved into history, hidden behind drywall and decades of silence. It took an hour to clear enough to squeeze through. I should have waited. I should have grabbed gloves, a better flashlight, something, but my curiosity had long since swallowed my caution. I pushed the hollow door inward with a soft groan of wood on stone. The air inside was dead, not stale dead, like it hadn't moved in years. My flashlight flickered as I stepped inside. My foot hit something soft, a sheet, a cloth. I bent down and brushed it aside. Dust swirled in the beam. There were stairs, leading down. That made no sense. The blueprint said it was a shallow closet, no mention of stairs. But here they were, narrow, wooden, uneven, hand-carved. Whoever built this didn't use modern tools. I hesitated. My instincts kicked in. This is where people in horror movies make stupid choices, I told myself. Then again, this wasn't a horror movie. This was my house. And something in my gut told me this wasn't just a sealed room. It was hidden on purpose. I descended slowly. 10 steps, then 15, then 20. The walls were rough brick. The air got colder with each step. My flashlight bounced weak shadows across the stone. The space widened. I started to make out the outline of a room at the bottom. My foot hit a concrete floor, and I nearly dropped the flashlight from the shock. Because in front of me, barely illuminated by the flickering beam of my light, was an object I didn't expect. An old trunk. It sat in the middle of the room, surrounded by dust, cobwebs, and time. Large. Wooden. Padlocked. I stepped closer, heart pounding in my ears. It looked like something out of a pirate movie. Iron edges, brass fittings, and a large rusted lock that screamed asterisk, do not open me. Asterisk. And yet, I did. I didn't even hesitate. The lock was fragile. It snapped under one hit from my crowbar. I peeled the lid open slowly. The hinges screamed in protest, like they hadn't moved in decades. And inside, not gold, just paper. Dozens of sheets, yellowed with age, crammed into old leather folders. Handwritten letters, receipts, diagrams. A small notebook bound in leather with initials scratched into the cover. E.L. At first I felt disappointment. Then I picked up the top page. My heart dropped. It was a map of my house, but older, like from the 1920s. And it showed 3 rooms that no longer existed. 2 of them were marked servants' quarters. But the third, in the bottom corner, written in faded black ink, vault. I sat on the concrete floor with that map in my hands, the leather-bound notebook beside me, barely breathing. Vault. The word felt heavy. Ominous. Final. I ran my fingers over the small, hand-drawn symbol beneath it, a circle with 4 lines pointing outward, almost like a compass or a warning sigil. It was rough, not architectural, like someone wanted to mark danger, not direction. I flipped through the other documents. Handwritten letters dated back to 1938. Names I didn't recognize. Mentions of the shipment, payment in full, and someone referred only by their initials. RM, the handwriting was elegant, old-world cursive. Each letter closed with the same phrase. Trust no one. Secure the vault. I stared into the darkness around me, suddenly very aware how deep underground I was. There was no cell signal, no windows, and only one exit. The air pressed down like it was trying to suffocate history. I needed to see the rest. The search begins. Over the next 3 days, I became obsessed. I hardly ate. I barely slept. My entire world shrunk down to that notebook, that map, and whatever was hidden beneath my house. I scanned the documents, labeled every drawing, and started measuring out the floor plan of the home again. And that's when it hit me. There was more. The sealed room wasn't the vault. It was just a chamber leading to it. According to map, the real vault was located beneath the east wing of the house, the part that had once been a library but was now just an empty guest bedroom with creaky floorboards and one of those awful yellow ceiling fans. I ripped up the carpet in that room, then the floorboards, and there it was, another trapdoor. This one was metal, rusted, with no handle and 4 bolts welded shut. The man who knew too much. I couldn't open it alone. I needed tools, power tools. I went to the local hardware store and asked the guy at the counter about grinders and cutting metal bolts. He was in his 60s, wiry, suspicious. "You working on an old bunker?" he asked casually. I froze. Something like that. His eyes narrowed. A lot of old houses. Round here were built with hidey holes. Prohibition days. Smugglers. Sometimes worse. You'd be surprised what's on the floorboards. I laughed it off. Just trying to upgrade a storm shelter. But as I turned to leave, he said something strange. "Don't dig too deep. Some doors stay closed for a reason." I stopped in the parking lot, staring at my receipt, heart pounding. How much did he know? Opening the vault. That night, I returned with a grinder, gloves, and a 6-pack of liquid courage. The metal screeched as I cut through the bolts, the heat of the blade against the rust-lit sparks in the dark. It took nearly an hour, but eventually, the vault creaked open, and what I saw inside stopped me cold. Not gold. Not yet. Instead, asterisk wooden crates. Asterisk. Dozens of them. Unmarked. Sealed shut. And as I pried the first one open, I saw it. Bars. Heavy. Dull. Gleaming. Asterisk. Gold. Stacked like firewood. At least 100 bars in that one crate alone. Another held coins. Spanish doubloons, British sovereigns. Even something with dragons stamped into it. There were bags of jewels. A crown fragment. Rubies the size of my thumb. I staggered back. My body was shaking. I wasn't just standing in a hidden room anymore. This was a treasury. The first clue something was wrong. But then, I found the last crate. It was different. Smaller. Heavier. Marked with a red symbol. The same one from the map. I hesitated. My gut twisted. I cracked it open. Inside, bones. Human bones. Small ones. And a child's shoe. I couldn't sleep that night. Not with that crate still open in the vault. Not with the tiny bones inside it. There was a shoe. Pink. Faded from age. But clearly a child's. Size 10. Maybe 5, 6 years old. The bones were too small for an adult, and too many to ignore. This wasn't just some forgotten treasure room. This was a crime scene, and I had just broken it wide open. The past resurfaces. I sat on the kitchen floor until sunrise, that old leather notebook in my lap. I flipped to the first page again, trying to find something. Anything that could explain what I had just found. That's when I noticed it. On the inside cover, pressed into the leather, was a name I hadn't seen before. For C. Bellamy, protect what's ours. Bellamy, that wasn't the name of the previous owner. The deed listed someone else entirely. I ran to the filing cabinet, where I'd kept the house records from when I bought it. There was the name, Cornelius Bellamy, owner from 1932 to 1947. I froze. Because I remember what the man at the hardware store said about prohibition, about hiding places, about worse things. I Googled the name, and suddenly, the puzzle pieces weren't scattered anymore. They were stacking up. The Bellamy scandal. Cornelius Bellamy wasn't just a homeowner. He was a banker, a smuggler, and, according to a few dusty newspaper scans, the alleged head of a secret society known as the Gold Line, rumored to have hoarded wealth during the Great Depression while local families starved. One article, dated 1946, accused Bellamy of trafficking stolen relics. Another suggested he used child labor from nearby orphanages to dig out secret chambers beneath his estate. But no charges ever stuck, because Bellamy mysteriously disappeared in 1947. No body, No will, no witnesses. The property changed hands quietly a year later, and the story was buried. Until now, the thread emerges. I knew I needed to tell someone. The police? A historian? Maybe both. But when I stepped outside that morning, something felt off. There was a black SUV parked across the street. Tinted windows. Idling. I watched from behind the curtains. No one got out. After 10 minutes, it drove away, slow, deliberate, as if whoever was inside wanted me to know they'd been watching. I checked the vault again. Nothing was missing, but now I knew. Someone else knew about it, maybe even before I did. Uncovering the truth, I started digging deeper into the Bellamy family. There were many public records, but I found an archived interview, a podcast episode from a local true crime group. In it, the host interviewed a woman named Martha Bellamy, Cornelius's great-niece. She said something I'll never forget. There's a reason we don't go back to that house. My uncle was obsessed with power, with hiding things. Even after he vanished, the family had rules. Don't ask, don't dig, don't open what's locked. And then the host asked her if she believed the rumors about the gold, the missing children, the secret rooms. Her answer? I don't believe they're rumors. Back to the vault. I returned to the vault late that night. I took photos of the bones, of the crates, of the coins and bars. I logged everything in a private folder, time-stamped, encrypted. But something was off. The vault felt colder, like someone else had been there. That's when I saw it. A handprint on the inside of the trapdoor. Fresh. I hadn't left it there. I ran upstairs, locked every door, and checked the cameras I'd installed around the property the week before. Nothing. No movement. No alerts. It didn't make sense until I rewound one feed from the side alley, 2:17 a.m. A flicker. A shadow near the basement window. Too blurry to make out a face, but clear enough to see. They were wearing gloves. And the part 4 hook. That was the night I realized I wasn't alone in this story anymore. This wasn't just my discovery. It was my inheritance. And someone out there wanted it back. I didn't leave the house for 2 days. I couldn't. Not after what I saw in that camera feed. Not after that handprint. Someone had been in my vault. Someone who didn't want to be seen. The sound of silence. I unplugged every smart device. No Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. Just analog, padlocks, printed maps, a spiral notebook. I was spiraling, and I knew it. But paranoia was a luxury I could afford now. I had gold. I had a secret. I had a target on my back. I started noticing small changes around the house. The attic light flicked on even though I hadn't been up there. My office chair would be slightly turned when I walked in, as if someone had sat in it and just left. And the most disturbing part? I began hearing scratching from behind the walls. At first I thought rats. Then I thought old pipes. But one night around 3 a.m., I pressed my ear to the drywall near the vault entrance, and I heard breathing. Slow, measured, waiting. The man in the church. The next morning, I did the one thing I swore I wouldn't. I left the house. I drove 40 minutes to a church on the edge of town, where an old historian I'd messaged online agreed to meet me. His name was Reverend Alton Banks, a retired pastor and part-time archivist who used to catalog local family records. He didn't even shake my hand. He just stared at me and said, "You found the Bellamy vault, didn't you?" I froze. "How did you know?" He gestured to the wooden pews. "Sit down. You're going to need your faith for this." The Brotherhood of the Gold Line. According to Reverend Banks, Cornelius Bellamy wasn't just some eccentric banker. He was a founder of a secret brotherhood formed during the Great Depression, a society of elite men who hoarded gold, rare artifacts, even children. They believed gold was divine, ordained by God to separate the worthy from the weak. They called themselves the Gold Line. They used tunnels, hidden rooms, silent codes. Their motto? Asterisk, keep it. Hide it. Pass it on. Asterisk. Cornelius vanished in 1947, yes. But Reverend Banks believed he didn't just disappear. He was silenced by the very society he helped build. Why? Because he wanted to come clean. The modern-day cult. I asked him, why would anyone come after me now? His reply chilled me. Because the gold line never ended. It just went quiet. He believed remnants of the Brotherhood still existed, passed down through bloodlines, secret inheritances, and private trusts. A few of them might be living in my neighborhood. Watching, waiting, ensuring the secrets stayed buried. He pulled out an old black and white photo from the 1950s. 7 men in dark suits. No names, just a golden emblem in the corner. I recognized it instantly. The same symbol carved into the wall of the vault. A circle bisected by a jagged line. Gold on one side, ash on the other. They'd been inside. When I got home, my front door was unlocked. I froze on the porch. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to call the police, but I had to know. I had to see it with my own eyes. The house looked untouched, except for one thing. On my kitchen table sat the notebook from the vault, but it was open to a page I hadn't reached yet. There, scribbled in red ink that wasn't there before, were 4 words. You're not the first. A deeper level. Fueled by fear and curiosity, I went back into the vault that night. I examined every panel, every stone, every seam in the floor. My hands were shaking when I tapped the southeast corner of the room and heard the hollow echo. Another chamber. I pried up the floor, inch by inch, until the slab gave way to reveal a spiral staircase descending into darkness. A second level. It smelled like old fire and earth and something worse. Age. I went down 3 steps before my flashlight flickered out, and in that silence from the shadows below, I heard someone whisper my name. I ran. The darkness behind me seemed to swallow every sound, every breath. My feet stumbled over the uneven steps of the spiral staircase, my heart hammering against my chest. I didn't care where I was going, just that I had to get away from that whisper, that cold, familiar voice that had called my name from the blackness. I made it back up the stairs in a flash, bolting the trapdoor and collapsing on the floor of the vault. Sweat soaked my shirt, my paws still erratic. But I couldn't deny the truth. There was something down there, something waiting. The secret below. I didn't know what I was expecting when I decided to go back down, but I had to know. I had to get answers. I waited until dawn. Then, trembling but determined, I gathered my strength and descended again, this time with a flashlight, a crowbar, and a roll of duct tape. I descended deeper, my breath shallow, each step heavier than the last. My fingers brushed against the stone walls, feeling for clues, for signs of life, for answers. And then I saw it. At the bottom of the stairs, past a thick veil of cobwebs, I stumbled upon a large wooden chest. Unlike the crates in the vault, this chest was intricately carved. Too beautiful, too well made. The symbol of the gold line was etched into its lid. But there was something else. A name, Cornelius Bellamy. I pried it open. Inside was a collection of dusty old books, handwritten journals, ledgers, and then I saw it. The last piece of the puzzle, a yellowed letter folded inside one of the books. I unfolded it carefully, reading the faded ink. The betrayal of the line. The letter was from Cornelius Bellamy himself. It was written just days before his disappearance. Asterisk, if you find this letter, then you are standing on the precipice of a great betrayal. The treasure I amassed was never meant to remain hidden for long. The gold line will stop at nothing to ensure its survival. They are not just after the gold, but the legacy. My legacy. If they find out what I've hidden, they will kill you. They will kill all of us. Do not trust the symbols. Do not trust the name. They will come for you, just as they came for me. The treasure will betray you. Asterisk. I froze. The truth was worse than I had imagined. The gold wasn't a blessing. It wasn't a gift. It was a curse, and I had inherited it. The final confrontation. As I turned to leave, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind me. I wasn't alone. I spun around, ready to fight, but the flashlight beam caught nothing but the damp stone walls. But something was moving. I raised the light higher, slowly scanning the chamber. When I saw it, the shadow slipping behind one of the pillars. It was fast, too fast. I barely caught a glimpse of the figure before it darted out of sight. My breath caught in my throat. My heart dropped. They had found me. I wasn't just dealing with treasure hunters or curious neighbors. The gold line had returned. They were in the house. They were after me. The last stand. I ran back to the vault, slamming the trapdoor shut behind me. But it was already too late. The room was silent, the only sound my own breathing. But I could feel the eyes on me. The walls seemed to close in. The gold around me shimmered in a sickly glow. I grabbed the phone from my pocket. My hands shook as I dialed the one number I had been avoiding. Asterisk, asterisk, Reverend Banks, asterisk, asterisk. I whispered as soon as he picked up. They're here. The gold line, they're in my house. They know everything. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then, finally, his voice, quiet but resolute. Asterisk, asterisk, it's time for you to decide. Asterisk, asterisk. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I asked, my voice desperate. The gold. It's not the only thing they've hidden, son. You're part of this now. You've always been part of it. They've been watching you for years, waiting for the right moment to claim you as their own. My stomach turned. What do I do now? He hesitated, and for the first time, I heard something close to regret in his voice. Asterisk, asterisk, you have two choices. Asterisk, asterisk, you can run. Leave the house, leave the town, leave everything behind. They'll never stop chasing you. Or, he paused again, or you can take control. Take the gold. Destroy them. But be prepared. Once you do, there's no turning back. The decision. I stood there, in that vault, alone. I could hear them moving upstairs now. Footsteps, murmurs, the sound of a door creaking open. The gold line was here. The choice was clear. I grabbed the nearest crate, lifted it with all my strength, and carried it toward the trapdoor. I wasn't going to run. Not anymore. I had to end it. I had to burn it all down.